Hello? Who this? Hey Coyotes, it's your boy, Gabriel. And I'm here with Mr. Estrada. Let's talk in Coyote Nation. How are you guys doing today? So today, we're going to be talking about pretty much your life story, right?
I'm pretty sure that's what we were getting into today. That's some hot tea, but before we get into that, let's lay some premise down. We kind of have an origin story.
We do.
We go back in time. Little has actually known me since I was a little high schooler going over to his house, and he was a little 8-year-old, little weirdo in his bed. Bedroom, always waiting on us to do something bad at the house. Were you a snitch?
I mean,
snitches get stitches.
I don't remember snitching that much, but maybe I did.
And quiet, but Gabriel has always been prominent to be a student leader, and I'm really glad that you're putting yourself out there here at Russell High. I kind of talk a lot about you to your sister.
Thank you.
Chavi, shout out to Chavi, one of my best.
So obviously we have history, but I still don't know that much about you, so how about you inform the audience?
Yeah, let's get into it. So, I guess my story as Mr. Estrada, or this person that I know, or am today, I think starts around 8th grade year. I was a little Mountain View Mustang, and so I didn't really have the best middle school years. I think it was a little scary. There was definitely some bullying in those years, but I didn't let that stop me, and I knew that there was something special within me when I would have older friends that I would hang out with. I was always hanging out with the 8th graders, being a little 6th grader and stuff, so I already knew that my mindset was a little bit more mature compared to some people my age. And so 8th grade year happened, and I told myself high school is going to be my best years ever. I'm going to make sure I put myself out there. I'm going to make sure I do everything possible to just get myself known, right? And so getting into high school, I played baseball, so I was already a Roswell High Coyote at 8th grade. I started my baseball career playing for the RHS baseball team, JVC, 8th grade year, and I loved it. Fell in love with the school. I loved wearing red. I loved showing up with red, black, and white all over my body. But I really don't think I found my voice and my confidence until I joined student council. And I think that's something that translates to even now as a student council advisor. So getting into high school, I honestly tried everything. National Honor Society was my cup of tea, Latinos in Action, which was known as Spanish Club back in the day. Back in the day when we used to ride horses to school. I usually tell kids that, but they don't realize that I graduated in 2019. So right before the panoramic, right before the pandemic, I feel like high school is a little different. You guys are a little bit more quiet, mellow. It's been really awesome and rewarding being back at Roswell High. So after high school, I was actually known as a really smart kid throughout all my classes compared to a lot of guys. So I took honors starting 9th grade year with Miss Lucero, and it was so scary. English was so hard, math was so hard, science was so hard, but I knew that's what I wanted in high school because those classes were where all my best friends were. And it was weird because we would compete literally for how much stickers we had on our binder or who had the higher grade in our classes, something that I really don't see in the classroom now as a teacher. I think you guys are missing out on the little hot competition between who has the better grade in the class, right? But you guys are great kids. I love teaching y'all's generation because it shows a lot about me. We were always known as Gen Z, the lazy generation. And I feel like I did a pretty good job improving myself and my generation. We're not just kids that are on our phones. That's not who we are. If anything, we're more connected to each other than a lot of other generations, right? Snapchat, YouTube, TikTok, Messenger, I think we're more well-rounded in communicating with each other than any other generation. I think that's polar opposite. But going back to high school, 4.0 student, I made sure that my grades were really good. And so I ended up graduating 9th in my class. I was the only boy to graduate in the top 10 graduates that year, which, I don't know, I kind of wear it with a little bit more pride on my chest. So out of all people to be teaching y'all's kids, yes, it should be Mr. Estrada, okay. After that, I went to New Mexico State for 4 years, and I loved it. I love New Mexico State. When I first toured the campus my senior year, I was like, what am I getting myself into? I hate it. It looks ugly. I also went in the fall. If you ever catch New Mexico State campus, in the springtime, oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. So I was an Aggie through and through. At first, the dream was to be a dentist. Like, I wanted to really be in the medical field. I wanted to be a dentist so bad. I still kind of have like my little bits and pieces of dental because my mom's a dental assistant, so it's still naturally around me. But you know, I kind of kept that dream on the back burner, especially when I started to say I hated school for the first time. I had never said that in my entire life, like, I hate freaking school.
Yeah, thinking now, I hate school too.
No, don't say that. You're too young. You have like 3 more years of capita. You still have your bachelor's degree to go get. Like, we are not done. You cannot be tired yet. You can be tired whenever like you have your master's and then maybe you want to do your doctorates. Because I think at that point, you know, you can do it little by little. I don't know. I'm barely getting to my master's. And so the dream was to be a dentist, so I decided, hey, I'm going to be a biology major. Do you like your biology classes? Are you a science person?
See, last year I liked biology, but now I have chemistry, and I'm kind of struggling there.
Okay. So chemistry, I will tell you, is another freaking beast. When I showed up to my first organic chemistry class, it was so hard. And I had to literally look at the camera or look at the mirror and say, Eberhard, you were right. And so, I don't know, organic chemistry was just the death of me in that dream. And so I took this class because the college was making me take a class outside of my major, and it was called entrepreneurial mindset. Like, you know, putting two together. It was a class to kind of teach you business terms, and how to grow your business if you had your own dream. And my dream was to own my own dental clinic, so I was like, you know what, like, I'm going to take that class because it's going to definitely be a good tool to use in my toolbox. So I took it, and I loved the world of business. Like, I switched my major literally the next semester. So, let's talk a little bit more about high school. I think I got off track and like bounced into college. It wasn't like in my prime years. But let's go back to high school. You know, starting out high school, I told myself, I'm going to give myself maximum opportunities here. And I decided to run for freshman class president. I lost to Miss Alana Dumlau. She's now at Texas Tech, still getting her degree and working on school and things. But I lost, and I was like, what the heck? And I still became really involved. I was devastated, for sure. It was the first time I had ever tried to like do something big, and I lost. And then homecoming came around, and I was like, should I run for Prince? And I was like, actually, no. Like, I took the L like literally 2 weeks ago. I'm not going to take another L. So I didn't. I was a little bit more sheltered, but I also joined drama club. Now, the drama classes still exist here at Rockville High, but they're a little bit different. So shout out to Miss Sykes. Do you ever remember like all your teachers' names, like especially the awesome ones?
Yeah, only the ones I liked, for sure.
Yeah, so Miss Sykes was definitely an awesome like teacher who taught me like, hey, Junior, like, you know, sometimes you need to step out of your comfort zone to make people feel comfortable, and I live with that like mantra from now. I think Miss Sykes was definitely like an individual who brought the best out of me. You would never think I would like be on a stage performing in front of my friends in high school, but I was. And like when people would come to our plays, I'm telling you, the little theater was shoulder to shoulder packed. Everyone was on their phones, like ready for the next like hot moment for us to just be entertaining and funny. And so I kind of found a lot of my like, you know, entertainment factors from drama club. So the next year I came back and I was like, dude, we're definitely gonna get into it, and I'm gonna run for sophomore class president. My speech was so good, guys. I made sure that there was like theme music. I made sure that you know, I made sense to what I was promising my class, which was a spirit stick. We were able to win the spirit stick as sophomores, my sophomore year. So it was really awesome. Now I had a lot of awesome friends like Joel Rama, Sabriana Galindo that were always older. And so they were like always telling me, hey, you should run for a bigger position, run for a bigger position. So my junior year, I kind of worked up the courage to run for Southeast District Student Council President. Are you familiar with NMASC or anything like that? No. So the New Mexico Association of Student Councils is actually like an association under NMAA. And so this allows us to go compete with schools around the Southeast District area of New Mexico, so that way we're more informed and more connected to the schools that are around our areas, like Ruidoso, Dexter, Carlsbad, Hobbs. And so we're about to have district October 22nd. So it's coming up really, really quickly. But we take these opportunities to go work on our leadership skills. And usually we have a keynote speaker that talks in front of our students. And their messages are always so positive. that they want to bring that message back to the student body. Like that's our job. We're going to go and hear this guy speak in front of these other schools, but whatever his message is, we're going to try to come back to Roswell High and try to work on it during our school year. And so I'm really excited. My student council this year is actually 79 members. It's not close to the numbers that existed while I was in student council. I think we had about 100 people show up regularly to our meetings back in the day. And so we still have a lot to work on. You know, this is my second year as the student council advisor. Never did I imagine myself like doing it as a teacher, but I really love it. I love that Mr. Lujan was one of my advisors that I could still go and actually talk to, like, hey, how did you do this back in the day? So I love being involved with student council. I think it really changed me and it defined a lot of the parts of who I am and a lot of my great qualities, working with kids and working with individuals in a building. I think the hardest job about being a teacher is not really working with kids, but it's about knowing how to work with adults and knowing how, it takes a lot of people to make that grade happen on a report card. And so it's really important to make sure that you involve everyone and you're very communicative with the people around you. So that way, whenever your turn comes to be supported, they're right behind you, making sure you don't fall. But with that being said, I then went into Target. So Target is another huge little factor in my life. So in high school, that was my job. That was my high school job. I started working my junior year after Hike It and Spike It. So during Hike It and Spike It, I worked for Snowy. So if you guys are ever needing a first job, go work at the Snowy stands that are in town. Like, you can literally get a snow cone at Farmers, North, South, and I think there's one on the east side now. So like, go work at Snowy's if you guys are looking for your first jobs. It gave me enough customer service experience to apply at Target, and my student council skills plus like my little working skills that I had in those 6 months qualified me to be it was called a guest advocate, but basically like a cashier. And so I started cashiering at Target probably around 19 years old, and it was really cool because I would be able to go to Las Cruces, where I went to college, and come back to Roswell and work on my breaks and stuff. And so long story short, after finishing school, I got an opportunity with Target, and I was super excited. It was for an executive team lead position, so at that point you're working right under a store director. And so I started in the Las Cruces market first. The Las Cruces market annually brings in a gross amount about $63 million around that area. Yeah, and so I was running the specialty sales department. So if you go to Target, it's going to be like the electronics, the beauty section, where seasonal is, home, bed, bath, bedding, and stationary care. So it's all of the little small things or the small items that you wouldn't think make money, but they do. They're like cookingware and stuff of that sort. So it was awesome. I loved working with people. I loved managing people. I loved that there was a lot of people that would tell me I was a good boss and a good manager. And I was 22. You know what I mean? What the heck? What a responsibility at 22 years old. And so I did the 8 weeks. They loved it. I toured with the store director and a district director that was actually in charge of that small portion of New Mexico and Arizona. And they referred me to another 8-week internship. So now my internship turned to 16 weeks, all paid. It was at $27 an hour, so I was like, wow, this is a great job, right? And so I decided to go to Albuquerque that summer, and I lived with a friend and my tias. And I stayed there over the summer working on this internship, and it was awesome. I finished my senior year, and I was like, okay, I'm ready to go back to work. And so they actually called me, and they're like, hey, Mr. Estrada, like, you actually have a chance here. We're going to give you an opportunity to come run the Albuquerque location. And they told me the location of the Albuquerque store. I'm not too sure. Are you familiar with Albuquerque?
The Target store?
Yeah.
It's like that big two-story one.
It's the two-story Target that's off of Louisiana Boulevard. That store alone brings in $63 million with just my department alone. And so I was in charge of 80 team members and 5 managers working under me. And so at this point, I'm 23. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is my dream. I love being a boss. Like, I'm showing up to work with my coffee, my shots of espresso. But I quickly hated it. One thing they don't tell you guys about salary is, you do have promised hours. I was promised to work 60 hours a week. I probably work more now as a teacher, but going home at 3:30 is really nice compared to going in at 7 in the morning and then leaving the store at 7 p.m. after cleaning throw up off the escalators because you're the manager now. So the big problems have now become your problems. And so I quickly got, just a one-on-one with my manager, and I really quickly realized that there was a lot of people in that room that I was in that didn't think I should be there. And it was literally because I was young. I don't know if it was just like bad animosity, but anytime they had a chance to belittle me in our manager meetings, they would literally talk about my degree like a piece of paper. Like, oh, the only one at this table that shouldn't be worrying about his career or where he's at in his career is the one with the piece of paper. Excuse me? My piece of paper is 3 degrees from New Mexico State University, and I paid about $24,000 for each of those pieces of papers. You know what I mean? So at one point in your life, you do have to kind of stand on your business, and I did. I decided I wasn't going to be treated that way, and I found value within myself. So I came back home. I moved from Albuquerque and I came back to Roswell, and I felt like such a loser. I don't know if it's just like a common thing, but I definitely felt like, I had let myself down, life goal-wise. And so my mom kind of gave me the idea again, like, hey, maybe you should go see if you could teach business at Roswell High, or like try to go be a teacher. I was like, okay, well, like, let me go see what's cooking. So Miss Mendoza, who during my high school career was actually my Spanish 4 honors teacher. So she was still a teacher, and she had just became principal of Roswell High. And I came in around August, the beginning of the school year. My sister is now about to start her senior year, so I asked my sister, hey, like, would you mind if I was a teacher during like your senior year? And she was like, no, brother, like, go for it. And so I did it. I applied for the job. I didn't hear back for months. And during those months, I kind of fell into a little, I don't know, just slump. I'm not going to say like I was fully depressed because I was still outside going out with my friends. But it just wasn't what I wanted in my life, right? And I knew that deep in my heart. And so October 28th came around. That's the first day I started at Roswell High. And I've loved being a teacher ever since. So I'm doing alternative licensure, so I'm still going to school for my master's. I'm not done studying, but I'm trying to get certified for TESOL, which certifies me to be an ELL teacher, and then it also gives me the power to become an English teacher. So I work with a lot of the 9th and 10th graders here at Roswell High. So if you guys have a 9th and 10th grader at home, more than likely, if they are an ELL student, then they do work with me directly as their teacher. Other than that, I take pride in being the student council advisor and working behind you guys. You guys are such an awesome generation of kids. Your potential is so unlocked, and it's our power and our duty as your teachers to literally dust that off, break the chains, and make you just unleash this beast that's within you. The moment you guys realize that you guys can do that, oh my gosh, the world better watch out. I'm telling you, dude, I'm telling you. But I see it in each and every one of you kids. Some of the ladies behind the camera, you guys are another beast, and no one really realizes it. When you guys know how to use AI for the right reasons, Capita unlocked. Capita unlocked.
Well, Coyotes, it's about that time. Our podcast is about to end, and I'd like to thank Mr. Estrada. And would you like to give any words of advice for our students?
Wow, well, first, thank you. It was an honor being your little co-host today on your podcast, and hopefully I get to do it again. Come on, like the YouTube video or like this podcast to bring Mr. Estrada for part 2. Come on.
Like it up.
But I guess the last bit of advice I have for you guys is going to be, don't be afraid to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And what I mean by that is there's going to be a lot of moments in your life where you literally think you cannot do the job, that you think you're less perfect, that you think you're not the person that should be standing on that spot on the floor. But there's nobody better. You guys know it too. It's just like a weird thing our brain does, I guess, during that crunch time. But quit being afraid of being uncomfortable. When you guys realize that the whole world is actually uncomfortable and you guys are all living the same freaking life, there's going to be some maximum aura that starts to stream out of you guys, like I'm telling you. So yeah, that's my advice. Don't be afraid to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. You push yourself to the max, give yourself the maximum opportunities, be a try-hard, and you're going to see that your life is going to turn out to be the way you want it to turn out.
Thank you for your time.
Awesome. See you later, Coyotes. We'll see you
Coyotes
next
out.